the more I thought about it, it might be kind of dangerous, because I was going to jet off on my little 2 feet to my grandmother's house in Fort Lauderdale, where I was going to be living a kid's dream, fun in the sun, at the pool, at the beach. It was going to be great. However, I might be kidnapped, or worse, killed. So, it seemed like it was kind of risky to me. I'm a little bit risk averse sometimes. So, plan B, I decided to get mentoring from my godmother. Back in the days where we used the US mail system regularly, I wrote her a bunch of letters. Stamps were probably like 15 cents at the time. She gave me advice, support, encouragement. She got me through a really difficult period in my time. And it was a significant impact on my life. And I'll never forget the mentoring she gave me. We're still very close today. So it was at that time that I decided that I was going to dedicate my life to making a difference in other people's lives. That I would do all that I can, for all the people I can, in all the ways that I can, at all the times I can, for as long as I can. And that's why my passion is mentoring. And that's why I'm a crazy woman running this program for 15 years, because it's really important to me. It defines who I am as a leader and as a human being. So, mentoring is my answer to life's most persistent and urgent question. And I ask you to think, what is your answer? What does it mean for you? So, as we celebrate the accomplishments of this amazing mentoring program tonight, one that is actually recognized around the world, one that I affectionately refer to as the mentoring program on steroids, because as some of you know, it's much more than a mentoring program these days. And this program has touched hundreds of people's lives. I'd like us to remember that the very heart of mentoring is making a difference in just one person's life, as my godmother has done for me. So, I'd like to thank you for all the things you do for other people, for all that you are to each other here tonight, part of this mentoring community. And thank you for being here tonight. This event is for you. Enjoy yourself. As you all know, this is a partnership between SHRM and SHRM. And I'd like to invite Joe Sherrier to come up here and say a few words. He is the current president of the SHRM chapter. And he actually started a new job today with my eye doctor, so I'm really impressed that he's dedicated enough to come out here and be with us tonight. Joe?
Put this right here, following the Meryl Streep of mentoring.
Oh my gosh.
I thought I might win, so I prepared a few remarks. We are here this evening to celebrate all the hard work of all the individuals who have been involved in the mentoring program, but it's really a celebration of the passion of Mary Kitson. So I'm sure we'll do it again. I have not been a participant in the mentoring program as a mentor or a mentee. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm on the short list now for saying that. But I do have 2 mentoring stories that I'd like to share with you. The first person who was a mentor in my life, I met when I was in the 3rd grade, and I don't remember his name, and I only have sort of a ghostly image of what he looks like anymore. I cut my finger really badly. It's the only scar I have, and it's on my finger here. And they rushed me to the emergency room, and while I was laying on the bed, on the table, with my hand over here getting stitched up, I was looking over this way, and a kindly old gentleman sat there and held my hand and asked me my name and told me jokes and talked about sports and things like that, as tears streaming down my face and I'm crying because they're sewing me up over here, and I still knew that. But he taught me kindness, and he taught me caring and giving back, and I'll always remember him. But the thing about it is, this gentleman, older now, is probably long gone, and I'm sure he never knew that I always remember the kindness that he showed to me as an injured third grader. I actually have one more story. This is from a blog post that I read, and I actually sent it to Mary, and I'd like to read some of it to you because it's about mentoring in a roundabout way. It's from a blog that I read called HR Capitalist. I'll plug it for him. Chris Dunn, great guy. And the blog is called Your Son Was My Mentor. And he begins by saying that he is on his way to a funeral for an 18-year-old gentleman that lived in his neighborhood. And this is his open letter to the parents. Natalie and Alex, your son passed away way too young. You've heard hundreds of stories and looked at hundreds of pictures over the past couple of days. Here's mine. And he shows a picture of him out his front window into the yard or the neighborhood. He says, my love for your son is framed from where I watched him. This picture shows you where he had the most impact on me. It's not an event or a conversation that we ever had. You'll recognize the picture. It's looking at our street where the neighborhood kids play. That's your house on the left. This is where I watched your son, Blake. More to the point, this is where I watched Blake take care of my oldest son, 7 years younger than your boy. In 2001, we moved into the neighborhood. And as anybody who knows your family would expect, everyone in the house greeted us with open arms. But we introduced a new variable to the lives of your kids. And here's a picture of that variable. And there's the little 2-year-old kid with the big boots on. A roaming, sloppy 2-year-old looking for attention, especially attention from older boys in the neighborhood. The type of thing that sends most older boys running. Part of watching your kid from the window is seeing them get rejected. That's life, and it's part of growing up. Blake was different from the pack. While many other older kids would, and did, run from the kid pictured above when he approached for the 1,000th time, your son remained calm. He always had time for the kid in the boots. Always. I saw it from this window. Quality time. He let the kid approach. He talked to the kid. He let the kid play, even if it meant the game being played was effectively over. He was kind. He was always found a way for the kid to feel great about himself. He showed him how to do things. We see kindness in our kid today that looks a lot like what your son provided. In short, he was a mentor, and he didn't even know it. Most mentors don't realize the impact they have on others. It happens informally, and it's just part of who they are. Your son was different and had an impact beyond what you know. Pretty good stuff. So, if you never participate in a formal mentoring program again, or are a mentee again, believe me, you're having impact on people's lives, whether you're aware of it or not, by the example you set and the passion that you give to your work. So on behalf of SHRM and myself, congratulations, and thank you for the chance to positively impact so many.
Next, I'd like to introduce Sharifa Gomez. She is the president-elect for the SHRM chapter, and she is one of our mentoring alums. Some of you may know Ruchi Jala. She's hiding over in the corner there. She actually just gave birth a few weeks ago, and I'm thrilled she's here, but we didn't want to put any extra pressure on her. So Sharifa is going to talk with us for a couple of moments. Sharifa?
So on behalf of SHRM, we definitely want to congratulate this program. In 15 years that it's accomplished, and so much has been accomplished over that period of time. When I first moved here, Rush and I can attest to this, we're both from Toronto, Canada, about 6 years ago. I didn't really know how to get connected, so I felt like that was one thing in terms of me finding a role and really engaging with the HR community. How was I going to start? I literally, at work, Googling HR in the Northern Virginia area, the first thing that popped up was the Nova Dulles mentoring program. So the first thing I applied to, talked to Mary on the phone, was like, I just got here, 6 months. I'm like a really, really strong Canadian. I'm not really sure about this. Like, is this gonna work? So applied, got in. My peer mentor was Lindsay. She's actually in the audience as well. And that was in 2008, and I kind of haven't looked back. As a result of that, I've been a part of the SHRM board for the past 4 years in the membership role, and then this past year as the president-elect. So venturing off to the presidency next year. But throughout that whole period of time, it's been one of those journeys where you realize that you've got all these mentors throughout your whole career and your life. My background is my family is from Trinidad, and I guess you don't even look back at your historical, family. You see that there's so many mentors throughout your career or through your personal life that you didn't even realize impacted you. So for us, it's the women in our family. They are very impactful. They speak to you, they tell you what you don't and do want to hear. They tell you when to get married and when to have babies and all the like. And they always are around to give you advice. And that's one small aspect of mentoring, but when I look back, I feel like that's been the hugest impact on my life. Some things just to take away in terms of what the program has kind of done for me is just, I think passion is number one. You have to love what you're doing. You have to be engaged in what you're doing. You have to want to continue to do it, and I think that speaks for itself. And then just be connected to your community. I feel like some people, they say, hey, I'm just gonna kind of be in my area. We're gonna be one of those neighbors that in the parking lot kind of comes up. You don't really see them throughout the week, but being engaged and being connected in your community is really important. And then taking that to the next level, figuring out how to connect the two, either at work or personally. I think that's been kind of what I've seen throughout this mentoring program and kind of the example that I would see moving forward. So I also wanted to highlight while I'm up here the SHRM Foundation. That is a huge kind of impactful thing that a lot of people have been able to take advantage of and utilize as a result of what they do. So I'm just gonna speak on a couple of things that they provide. As Jill and myself are kind of selling the raffle tickets for our prize. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of what the SHRM Foundation does. It's a globally recognized premier source of human capital thought, leadership, and research. It advances global human capital knowledge and practice by providing thought leadership and educational support and sponsoring, funding, and driving the adoption of cutting-edge, actionable, evidence-based research. So a lot of what the SHRM Foundation does is support people that don't necessarily have the monetary, funds to go to school or to do the certification program. So all of the proceeds that we're doing for our raffle tonight go towards the SHRM Foundation. So we definitely ask for your support. And as I've mentioned, the prize is the dandy cruise that we have. We have a $100 gift card. So again, just on behalf of Nova SHRM, congratulations, Mary, and to the program. And thank you all for coming.
I'm honored tonight to be able to introduce Deb Cohen to you. She is the Senior Vice President of Knowledge Development for SHRM. Yes, our headquarters office in Alexandria. Deb is responsible for SHRM's Knowledge Center, the Research Department, academic initiatives, and HR standards and competencies. She has a lot on her shoulders. Stuff that we see and touch and feel every day in our jobs. And I met Deb when she was still working at George Washington University, so I'm thrilled to have a fellow GW alum. Deb?
Thanks, Mary. Thanks very much, and it's very good to be here. And I know you invited me because of my role with SHRM, and next month I will celebrate my 13th year anniversary working at SHRM. But really, the reason why I'm here is because my roots go to the Northern Virginia SHRM chapter. I moved to Northern Virginia in 1987 to take a job at George Mason University, and immediately joined SHRM and became a member of the local chapter and started to attend the meetings. And I was actually quite active in the late 80s and early 90s and into the mid 90s. So last night I went and I rummaged through my old files to see what I could find. And interestingly enough, so I've been, now this is 25 years ago that I got involved. But in my archives, I found minutes from a board meeting from, interestingly enough, April 3rd, 1995. And toward the very end, there's a little blurb, and I'm not going to tell you who said it or whose name was attached to it, but it said, so-and-so reported that not much has been done on the mentoring program. interesting that that was 1995 and that the program here kicked off in 1999, and that in 2003 the program won a Pinnacle Award from SHRM, which is terrific. So lots of really good things. From a SHRM perspective, SHRM is obviously committed to the HR profession, and we are committed to our chapters and the chapter structure. We have close to 600 chapters around the country. We have 267,000 members, and we are excited when we have chapters like NOVA and Dulles doing programs like this. I will tell you that there's a chapter out in Washington State right now that's actually experimenting with a mentor program using the very brand new SHRM competency model. And yes, that's one of the things on my shoulders, so I have to mention it. If you haven't, how many of you are familiar with the SHRM competency model? Good. If you're not, go to our front page. There's a little tab up there that says competencies and standards. This competency model is cool, and the reason why it is cool because I think it embodies what you are trying to do with this mentor program. There are 9 competencies in this model. One of them is HR technical skills and knowledge, technical information. The other 8 are things like relationship management, consultation, organization leadership and navigation, communication, global and cultural effectiveness, ethical practice, critical evaluation, and business acumen. Well, how do you learn those things? You can take certification, which is great. You know, those of us that are PHR, SPHR, GPHR, that's terrific. You can take professional development, you can go to conferences. But the way you learn a lot of the proficiencies that are listed in that competency model is through mentoring, is through experience, is through working with, talking with, helping each other and learning from each other and finding out what you need to do. So there's lots of exciting things going on out there, and I encourage you to take a look at that competency model. We launched it last June at the annual conference, and we will be launching a self-assessment tool, hopefully this conference as well in June. So take a look for that. And the booklet that's on our front page, you don't have to be a member, although I'm sure all of you are. But take it, download it, use it, and share it with everybody who is in HR, whether they're a member or not a member, because it's about the profession. And that's what you're doing. It's about advancing the HR profession. So the last thing that I'm going to mention, and I know I shouldn't be too much of a commercial, but okay, I'm going to anyway, is the HR standards area. When I come to these meetings, and I will admit that I don't get to the meetings as often as I like in the last couple of years, one of the things that is always refreshing to see is not only the camaraderie, but the fact that people talk about if they have a position open or if they're looking for a position. Well, I have a position open, so I'm going to tell you about it. I'm looking for a manager of HR standards. And standards, you say? What's that all about? SHRM's creating standards for the HR profession. We are an ANSI, American National Standards Institute, accredited standard setting body. And that means that we are the association that is allowed to make standards in HR. We have 4 active task forces, and we need some, this is a brand new position, it's an expansion because we need some help doing it. We are also the secretariat